Okay, in the world of high-frequency trading, you've got these algorithms making million-dollar decisions in the blink of an eye. There's zero room for error, no time to second guess. But what happens when one of these super confident AIs realizes it's on the verge of making a massive, catastrophic mistake? Well, that's the exact story we're going to dive into today. And really, this is the core question, isn't it? We're not talking about some slow, dawning realization here. We're talking about a machine built for pure speed and conviction, suddenly hitting a brick wall of contradictory data. So what does it do? Does it just freeze up? Does it stubbornly double down on its bad bet? Or does it do something completely different? It executes an emergency protocol. Just like that, instantly. There's no ego involved, no panic. It's just a cold, calculated pivot designed for one thing: survival when your entire game plan is falling apart. And this isn't some made-up scenario. We're about to walk you through a real, honest-to-goodness example from an AI trading system called AlphaCore 4.0.
All right, so let's set the scene. It's the morning of September 10th, 2025. AlphaCore has its game plan locked and loaded. It's a high-conviction, totally data-driven strategy. But before the opening bell even rings, that entire plan starts to just disintegrate.
So the system's original idea was super clear, seemed logical at the time. It was betting that Tesla was going to go down. It was all based on the stock trading below this really critical price, $355. But then the pre-market data started rolling in, and whoa, Tesla wasn't falling at all. In fact, it was rallying, and rallying hard, right back towards that key level. Just like that, in a couple of hours, the entire reason for the trade was completely wiped out.
So what did it do next? It slammed the big red button on its emergency protocol. First command, flatten all. Bam. Every single bearish order, gone. Canceled. Next, risk adjust. Instantly, it slashes its total exposure to the market. Then, gamma scan. It immediately starts hunting for new, bullish opportunities. And finally, it reassesses the entire market and gets its new defenses ready. I mean, this is automated discipline in action. It just abandoned a failing plan without even blinking.
Okay, so to really get why it pivoted so fast and so hard, we need to kind of pop the hood and look inside its brain. You see, the system doesn't just see a bunch of individual stocks. It views the whole market through a special matrix of 4 key assets. And this whole framework is called cask alignment. The easiest way to think about it is like the system's internal compass. It's constantly checking how these 4 different market pieces are lining up to answer 2 simple questions. 1, which way is the market actually going? And 2, how much should I bet on it?
So here are the 4 things it's always watching. You've got the SPY, which is basically the whole stock market. You've got Tesla. We'll talk a lot more about that one in a second. Then there's Bitcoin, which it uses as a gauge for how risky investors are feeling. And finally, the VIX, which is pretty much a fear meter. Now, for the system to go all in with maximum confidence, all 4 of these have to be pointing in the same direction. And before the pivot, Tesla was the one piece that was out of line for a big bullish bet.
Let's actually break this down with a fun analogy. Think of it like a sports team. The SPY, that's your team captain, right? It sets the overall direction for the whole team. Bitcoin, it's the scout, sent out ahead to see if the big money is feeling brave or scared. The VIX, that's your defense coach, always yelling from the sidelines, telling the system when to pull back and play it safe. And then there's Tesla. Tesla's the star player, the game changer, the one that can completely flip the momentum all by itself. And this, right here, brings us to the absolute heart of the story. Because in this system, Tesla isn't just another stock, no way. It's classified as the amplifier, and for a very, very specific reason. What Tesla does has this massive, outsized impact on the system's entire strategy. And it all boils down to this one number, $355. That's it. This was the line in the sand. The entire drama of this whole day, everything we're talking about, it all revolves around this single price. Because you have to understand, to AlphaCore, 355 isn't just a price on a screen. It's a switch. It's literally the on switch for that amplifier we talked about. And whether Tesla is above or below that level, well, that changes everything about how the system behaves. It's super simple. As long as Tesla stayed below that 355 mark, the amplifier was off. That meant the system's plan to bet against it was a go. But the very second it crossed above 355, that amplifier would switch on, and the whole plan would flip from bearish to bullish. So when that pre-market rally sent the price screaming towards that level, the system was faced with a choice, a very clear one: abandon the old plan or get run over by the market. So the pivot happens. The old plan is in the trash. What's next? Well, the system doesn't just sit on its hands. It immediately gets to work and cooks up a brand new bullish game plan that fits this new reality. And here was the new battle plan. Priority number 1, the SPY, our team captain, which was now clearly pointing up. Priority 2, a new bullish trade on Tesla, the star player, but it needed to wait for confirmation. And get this, a third priority even popped up, a play on a Bitcoin ETF. The system had totally reshuffled its focus and its money in just a matter of minutes. The SPY trade gets the biggest slice of the pie, 4% of the capital. But look at Tesla, it's only getting 3%. Now that's interesting, because the original bearish plan had a much bigger size. Why the change? The system actually logged it as pivot uncertainty. Basically, even with a solid new plan, it's smart enough to know that pivoting this fast is risky, so it pulls back its bet size. That's smart. And this part is so crucial. The system doesn't just ape back into the market. No, it follows this super disciplined step-by-step entry plan. First, it waits for a surge in trading volume to prove the move is real. Then, and only then, does it dip its toes in with the safest trade, the SPY. It'll only enter the Tesla trade after that works out and it gets a final confirmation. It basically makes the market prove its new ideas right before it puts serious money behind it. You know, this whole event wasn't just about flipping from bear to bull. It was really a masterclass in how to manage risk when everything is going haywire. The system's core programming, its DNA, is all about one thing: protecting its cash, especially when the market gets chaotic. And throughout this entire pivot, the system made this incredibly smart defensive move. It cut its total exposure way down to just 10%. That means 90% of its capital was sitting safely on the sidelines in cash. You can think of it like taking a defensive stance, just waiting, preserving its firepower until it's absolutely sure which way the market is heading. And for that small 10% it did have at risk, it wrapped it in extra layers of protection. The stop losses were way tighter, ready to cut a trade at the first sign of trouble. We already talked about how it demanded volume confirmation, and it even put itself on a clock. If this new trend doesn't prove itself by 10:30 a.m., the whole plan is back on the drawing board. It's a system that runs on hard rules, not wishful thinking. So let's just recap the crazy drama of that morning. It starts with a super confident plan to short the market. Then at 8:27 a.m., bam, new data comes in and just shatters that entire reality. The emergency pivot is executed, and by the time the market opens at 9:30, a brand new plan is in place, just patiently waiting for its signal. So if there's one single lesson you take away from all this, it's got to be this one. And this is actually a direct quote from the AI's own internal log files. Strategy flexibility beats stubborn positioning. That's the core idea that let it survive and adapt. Being flexible is everything. Being stubborn gets you killed. Which kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. We always talk about AI being faster or smarter at coming up with a plan in the first place. But maybe, just maybe, its real superpower is something else. Maybe it's the complete and total lack of ego. The ability to know instantly and with zero emotion the exact moment to ditch a failing plan and start over. Maybe that's the ultimate advantage.